because it was just high vibration, high energy music. And it stuck to the Unity traditions, but it was fun. It was fun to have that. That was my first experience. And it was probably a good thing it was my first experience because I came from a Southern Baptist background. And so that transition, it offered me an opportunity to heal a lot of the things because it was in my face, because it had that same vibe as far as that upbeat music and all those things. So it was really good for me to be in that experience early on. Resurrection consciousness. So what if I told you that every single day could be an Easter? Every single day, every single moment, every single breath, we have an opportunity to be in a state of resurrection. So Easter and Unity is not something that happened a long time ago. It's something that's happening right now and every now. Okay? And the resurrection tells us about something profound. Divine light, divine life cannot be buried. Won't happen. Love cannot be destroyed. We can't do it. Truth. Truth cannot be silenced. And in Unity, we understand that the resurrection is totally a state of consciousness. It has nothing to do, metaphysically. It's something beyond that. We talk about metaphysics, and metaphysics means that we are moving beyond. When we look at something metaphysically, we're looking beyond the physical representation. We're looking at the representation in consciousness, the representation in spirit. And that stone. Remember that story about that stone that was rolled away? Okay? That stone represents all those obstacles that were sung about a few minutes ago. All of those things that block us from being the truth of who we are. It could be our belief that we're not good enough. Our belief that we can't change. How many of you feel like where you are right now is where you're always going to be because you can't change? You've been this way all these years. I'm glad to see the heads that should know. Because what I will tell you is whether you plan it or not, every millisecond there's a change going on in your being. Whether it be in the state of consciousness or it be in your physical being. We were not born to be stagnant. We were born to be constant aspects of change. I promise you, I am not the same as I was when I was born. For one thing, the diapers are big. No. But we always change. And we get stuck sometimes in those ideas. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes in working with churches, I'll go in and they'll say, well, we've done it this way for 40 years. Great. How's that working? How's that going for you? Just because. And that's usually one of the first things I'll tell a ministry when I start to work with them. There's a few things that I'm not okay with. We've always done it this way. Or we tried that once 30 years ago and it didn't work. Maybe 30 years ago you were different. It might work today. And so it's about us being open to who we are. So, Easter. Charles Fillmore taught that Easter is not primarily about a biblical event, but it's about a spiritual process that is happening in us right now. So the resurrection is not of the body, but it is of the consciousness. How many of you have ever had something going on and it gets in your head and it just kind of stays there and it nags at you, gnaws at you? It tells you stories that we know at our core aren't true. But boy, sometimes that mind is so powerful that it can convince us of anything. Am I the only one that's had that experience? No. But that's the whole idea. It's like, okay, If the truth cannot be stopped, if the truth always shows up, if the truth is always prominent or always present, then all we have to do is go, okay, that was a fun story. And it was just that. It was a story that I made up. And so I get to step into that new beginning, that resurrection, that rebirth into the truth of who I am. I'm good enough. And you know what? Just because I did it or thought this yesterday doesn't mean that I have to do it or think it today. Every moment we have an opportunity to change our mind. What did we talk about last week? Was it something about repenting? And for those of you that weren't here, the Aramaic translation of the word repent just means to change direction. Change your mind. Change your focus. So it offers us the opportunity to be more true to who we are. So we are here. We're all here physically right now, right? There may be some here that aren't in a physical form. I would say probably so. We all carry those essences with us wherever we go. But as we are here in human form, there is a part of us that is always present as well as that divine consciousness, or the Christ consciousness, as we sometimes refer to it. And so, with that, every time we have a remembrance of who we truly are, and we step into that, okay, I'm going to shake off all those idiot drivers. I'm going to ask myself, I'm going to forgive myself for some of the things I probably said to those idiot drivers. And I'm going to breathe into the truth of who I am and the truth of who they are. See, there's the key. I can remind myself all the time, just like Burl was told and reminded, I am a divine child of God in all that I do. But the kicker is, so are they. You know, this is the first Sunday of the month, and typically I would be doing a talk around our focus for this month, which is around diversity. And the biggest thing is, to me, true diversity is not looking and going, okay, those people over there. It's when we take out the them and the us, when we destroy that division, and that we embrace that we are all of spirit. We are all part and connected with divine source. Okay, my iPad is acting weird. We're just going to turn it off. Okay, so that stone being rolled away, that is us consciously releasing anything that is blocking our path, anything that is blocking our divinity, anything that is casting a darkness over our eyes where we can't see the truth. It's the opportunity for us to take charge. And we've talked off and on for the past week and a half about, well, during the movie we started talking about the ego. Okay, a lot of times the ego is the one that throws those stones out. And so, as we become the rulers of our ego, as we have dominion over that, then we begin to really have that resurrection experience. And that's the peace. That's the peace for us all to remember. Whether I'm having a bad moment right now, I have a choice. In my next breath, I can resurrect my essence. I can breathe into the truth of who I am. I can be all that I was born to be. And so, what did Charles Fillmore say about that tomb? He talked about the tomb being material thinking, doubt, and fear. And think about that. when we get into that place of doubt and fear, doesn't it kind of feel like everything's closing in on us? I mean, for me, when I get there, it's like, I'm being limited. I'm being limited by my fears. I'm being limited by my doubts. And that stone, then, is that belief in those limitations. It's believing and giving power to those fears and those doubts. And I've shared with many of you in the past, my mother was a very fear-based individual. And I watched her live a limited life. I watched her go through life afraid of everything. Now, typically, children will either go exactly in the same direction, or they'll go, ain't no way, and go over here and live their life just the opposite. Well, I was blessed. I made the choice to go over here and not be caught in those constraints of fear. When you watch somebody limit their life because of some perception that's been made up, it's enough to cause you to shift and not want to be there. So the resurrection. Charles Fillmore, he referred to it as the breaking free into spiritual awareness. So if I truly believe that I am free, that I am unlimited, and that I am a divine offspring, if I truly believe that, then I step into it. Then I break into that freedom, which is that resurrection experience. Anytime that we can go, wait a minute, this isn't true. Wait a minute, I'm not limited. And let's face it, sometimes we get into that limitation place because of something someone else may be imposing. And we're agreeing to accept it as the truth. Have any of y'all ever had that happen? Where somebody else's beliefs or ideas, whether they were about you, those are the worst ones. Somebody has a belief about you, and all of a sudden you go, oh, well, that must be who I am. That's what they think. That's what they said. But is it true? I think it's important that we weigh things, that we use our power of discernment, one of our 12 powers, that power of judgment or discernment, that we use that to examine, okay, is this true? And sometimes it might be. But a lot of times, we are subjected to the opinions and perspectives of others. And it's up to us. It's up to us to claim it and own it, or to say, thank you for your opinion. But it's not the truth. How many of you can feel the truth? Okay? Yeah. A lot of us can. And that's the important thing. And I know I personally sometimes will get caught up and I forget to feel. When I will allow myself and encourage myself to move into that place of feeling, into that place of divine discernment, I know that that's where the truth resides. But I get caught up. I get caught up in the busyness. I get caught up in the energy. And it's important to make a decision. Am I going to resurrect myself into the truth of who I am? And we're so busy in our lives. It's having a good time back there, isn't it? That's fun. But when I get caught up in that, I get a choice. And it feels so good to go, is this true? Is this who I am? Is this how I'm showing up? And you know what? If the answer is no, then it's important that we're okay to say, thank you. Because everybody has a perspective. One of the things I share many times is what other people think of you is none of your business. It's none of your business. It doesn't matter. Because the truth is what we are and who we know ourselves to be. So, on Easter we celebrate. We celebrate our ability to awaken to our divine nature. Because if you look at the whole crucifixion story, and even in some of the things metaphysically that Jesus shared, like when he said, let the dead care for the dead. Those that are asleep, let them take care of those that are asleep. We are alive, awake, and free, and we are divine, and we live into that. And so that means that we need to surround ourselves with others who have like thoughts. But the main thing, if you think about it, when the man Jesus walked the earth, he didn't just surround himself with those who said yes. He found himself in the midst of all kinds of people. And his favorite place to be was in the midst of people who didn't believe like he did. And he got to demonstrate. He got to walk the walk and talk the talk and be that example of divinity in expression. And so, really, that fits in with this whole idea of diversity. If we only ever surround ourselves with people who are of like mind and agree with us, I think I would probably become stagnant. So diversity is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to have a resurrection into a greater experience of the divine consciousness. And so I encourage us to continue and roll those stones away. Get rid of those words that mean I can't, or I'm not enough, I'll never change. That's impossible. Remove those words from your vocabulary. Because in truth, greater things than these shall you do. And so roll away those stones through centering into the truth of who you are, being present, being resurrected, and please, 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 if nothing else, don't beat yourself up because you had a moment of darkness, a moment of doubt, a moment of fear. We're humans. That's part of who we are. But celebrate and catch yourself and bring yourself back to those resurrection ideas and consciousness so that you are truly showing up as who you are in truth, which is a divine being, the perfect essence of demonstration of source. And just from moment to moment, we forget. But we also have every opportunity to remember with each breath and with each thought. So today, what stone are you willing and ready to release? What belief are you ready to let go of? What attachments no longer serve you? If it's possible for you, let them go. So that you are being all that you're here to be. Remember, Easter wasn't a long time ago. It's right now. It's right here. It's tomorrow. It's next week. It's every second of every day. And when we recognize this, we discover that nothing can hold us back. And no one. And so, I want to use an affirmation this morning. The Christ light rises within me. Divine light renews my spirit. We'll say it one more time. The Christ light rises within me, and divine life renews my spirit. And so, ready to do meditation. So while Rafe is getting there, just breathe into that truth of who you are. And remember, there's never a true end to your divinity, to your truth. And just breathe into that as we go into a time of meditation. if you would, close your eyes. Take a slow breath in. And imagine a peaceful garden. A peaceful garden at sunrise. That stone has been rolled away. And a radiant light rises within your heart. This light, that is that Christ presence within you. And I invite you to allow this light to expand through your entire being. Fill it, allow it to fill every cell. And as you feel that light filling you, feel it radiating through you. The Christ light rises within me. And I awaken. I awaken to new life. And as you're sitting here, slowly breathing and resting in this truth, feel your heart just fill in that glow. Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful sight, and what a beautiful feeling to have. Love. Love is permeating this, each and every one of us in this space. Joy. Joy rises up within us with every breath. Because it's exciting to engage with the truth of who we are. Beautiful lights. Beautiful expressions of God. The Christ light rises within me. And I awaken to this new life. And hold that. Feel that. Encourage that to become more prevalent in every thought, in every breath. Now we're going to move into a few moments of silence. And in the silence, take that once more. The Christ light rises within me. I awaken to new life in the silence. And as we have rested in this awareness, and as we begin now to bring our awareness back to this room, we are fully regenerated. We are fully reintegrated. We are wholly present as the divine beings that we are. And I welcome you to begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And to remember, we are resurrected into our own divine beingness. We are fully aware, fully present, and fully that Christ light. And in this truth, we are blessed. And as we are blessed, we celebrate. For we are resurrected into the consciousness, into the demonstration, and into the truth that we are beautiful, beloved, divine creatures. And we embrace the world, knowing that's true of all beings.